Hey, Eric Ulick, the cross-dressing Mormon, the Maskless Messiah, here to talk to you about the dreams that I've had that have already come to pass. You see, back when I was in high school, I hung out with my friend Dave Weber a whole lot, and we even worked together at Taco Bell for a while there. While I was working at Taco Bell with him, I was usually working the drive-through window was my normal job duties there. So in my dream, that I had right before a shift I had to go to work, I dreamt that I went in and got ready for my drive-through shift, and then a manager came up to me and said, "We can't make chalupas and nachos because we're missing a certain ingredient." Now, when I woke up, I was a little confused because I didn't immediately think of the common ingredient between chalupas and nachos. I was quite confused why I'd have that dream. So the next shift I go that following day and put my headset on, and Will comes up to me, the manager, and he tells me we can't make chalupas and nachos because the deep fryer went up in flames this morning. So either right before, right after, or right during the time that my deep fryer at my job was going up in flames, I was having a dream about it happening. I was a late night shift, so I would have been sleeping at the time that it was going on. I was, so that was one dream I had hanging out with Dave. Another dream I had hanging out with Dave was, I had a dream about this band Sigur Rós. I'm not sure I'm saying the name properly. They're from Iceland. They played with this group Amina, who I ended up meeting after the concert that I ended up going to see, with them all playing together. But before the concert, I had a dream, and I went to this concert with Dave. Before the concert, I had a dream that that the band was like going behind these curtains, and like I don't know, it was kind of confusing to me in the dream. But when I ended up going to the show, they had these huge curtains, and they had these lights casting these massive, like 50-foot silhouettes of themselves on these curtains as they were playing. And so I had a dream of the concert. It wasn't exactly, I didn't see the silhouettes in the dream, but it was these weird curtains. I didn't know what they were doing with them, and that's what they did. So those are the first two dreams that I think that for me were the most like literally happening early on in my life, that were like, it's too literal for it to be a coincidence. This was this was me in, before it happening, having this dream about these things that were, there's no way I could have just randomly dreamt of something like that and have it just, Anyway, so that was my first couple of dreams that I had that were just kind of random things in my life. But I had some really profound ones as well. I had this one where my friend John Mineta, who at the time I hung out with him like every single day. I had maybe like a week's worth of days in 2 years that we didn't hang out. We were inseparable in late high school and early 20s. And so around this time period, I was into, the gel tabs and stuff. And so I had stopped for a while, and I actually had gotten really very religious again, and was very much trying to avoid all those kinds of things, any substances or whatever. And I ended up getting back into it again with John, because I had this dream, though, months beforehand. I had this dream where, and there's also Steve Nunez I wanted to mention. He also has a dream about me that I'll tell you about the next video. But this video, Steve Nunez and we started hanging out. He's a member of the Mormon Church, or at least was, and we ended up meeting up again after years of not really getting to talk to each other. We didn't really hang out a lot. We were in two different wards. They're like individual churches of our Mormon church that we were growing up in, that were really close to each other, though, so we did get to see each other fairly often. And so Steve Nunez, in my dream, I'm in this apartment, he gives me this phone call, and I pick up the phone, and he says, "John's back." And I'm worried. Well, John had been gone for a while, and he'd gotten into like heroin and stuff, and I was not going to follow that path. So I ended up getting really religious. He went and did that, and so Steve's telling me John's back, and so I'm like, oh no, what do I do? So I run out of the apartment in my dream, and I see this black car and this vending machine, and they had like all these different things, including what was, I guess, labeled as like beech nuts, like the old candy that used to be in there, but it was actually this magnetic thing that a tool that I could use to take off all the nuts off the bolts of the tires. And I'm going around, I'm taking all the nuts off the bolts of the tires, and I stop, I'm like, wait, it's too late, he's already here. So fast forward a few months, when John Mineta comes back in my life, and he gets me to come out and partake in you know, some herb for a little while, and then so I'm back on the track a little bit, and then he wants to have a final hurrah with some gel tabs, and so you know, I'm like, okay, fine. And so he drives my Nissan Sentra down to his apartment in Philadelphia, and instead of getting gel tabs for himself, he scores some you know, of the terrible stuff that I was never into and I didn't want to touch. And so I was like a little disappointed we didn't get to hang out that way, but it was weird because I get to his apartment and I see the apartment. It's the exact same apartment from months before in the dream that Steve Nunez calls me up. And so I'm in there and I look outside and there's my black Nissan Sentra on a donut instead of beech nuts. And so I'm basically, I had him drive down to Philadelphia on this thing, and because I was already, you know, started my trip. So, and I realized, like, wow, it's too late that he's already here. I'm already here. I was already at his house doing the thing that I was trying to avoid. But, you know, while in this experience, I mean, it was the most intense trip I've ever had. I mean, I could see like the molecules on the walls, and they had all these weird like alien characters and stuff, and I saw the same kind of symbol like on my hand all glowing and stuff, and it was a pretty intense time. But that was kind of the thing that got me back into the world of, you know, that got me out of the church basically. So yeah, that was kind of an intense experience. I had to drive myself back out of Philadelphia while he's all nodding off. I had no idea where I was going. And I haven't seen him in a while too. I don't know whatever happened to him, but so then I had these dreams in my adulthood that relate to really what I'm doing now. I had this dream where I was walking past like all these churches that had like carnivals and stuff, things like rides and stuff, and I was just like really kind of confused, like why are these places all like about entertainment? So bizarre. And so I'm going, and I finally get to this very wooden, very plain room, and there's this lady teaching, and it's like, this is the real source of spirituality. And I didn't know exactly what it was, but as I went on and I started losing a lot of weight and getting into shape, I found yoga after having done all the walks to all these churches that had all sorts of craziness going on. Some of them were, you know, a little more, you know, realistic and down to earth, I think, than others, but you know, what I really found was the true home for me spiritually was like in a practice of yoga with these, you know, very plain, simple things that I was experiencing, but was very profound for my life and my healing of the things that I've been through. The next dream that I would like to mention that has come to pass is one where I'm pretty sure it's me at Willamette, and I have these like, there's like this glass window, and I'm pretty sure it's like across from the Millstream where I used to play, where the HR representative and all these people are, you know, the administration are up there on that side of the school, and I'm getting all these like negative energies in this dream from all the ladies, and I didn't know why. I've never done anything to deserve this kind of attention, negative attention from these people, and I was getting treated really poorly. And so going back, I realized it had a lot to do, seems like, with my getting kicked out over this whole thing that I'll tell you more about with these ladies who at the school who wrote an article about me and then went around and pretended like I was somehow guilty of staring at them, as if that's something to limit contact with someone over, and two, you know, as if the whole article thing was not actually something that should be looked into. Like, wait a second, they were staring at him. Okay, it's not really staring if two people are looking at each other. Anyway, so that happened, and got kicked out of law school, and so this next dream that I've had is actually one that is why I'm here giving this video, and that is I've dreamt about being in stores and getting a lot of attention. And so I realize now, having done the Maskless Messiah thing, that I've gone and been in all these stores, and the more I go there, all these people are staring at me, even the masked ones. I had this at the one in Burien where I live down there, I'm in Ballard now. The lady came up and grabbed my cart and smiled and said hi. The masked lady, you know, one of these people who walk around afraid, you know, while I'm wearing this shirt. So they're staring at me, they're smiling, that it's like the attention is coming, and finally all the things that will come about in the next video that I'll talk about are finally about to happen. And this is why Willamette University really needs to start worrying about what they did to me. Thanks. Bye.